Yeah. What's good, big dogs? Fridays, for now, are for the big dogs. Hope everybody's doing well. And today, as you see in the thumbnail, I think it's time to kind of at least have the discussion on some of these rookies that just really are underperforming. And, I'm seeing a lot of questions, at least right now, on should I move them? You're feeling impatient. And is it time to move on from a guy like RJ Harvey in the thumbnail, a guy like Travis Hunter, who you may have drafted in the first round? I mean, it could be worse even. Caleb Johnson. So let's talk about a little bit of that. Hope everybody's doing well. And whether you're ready or not, I think it's definitely time to try to at least shop them if you haven't. You're probably going to take, what feels like 80 cents on the dollar, maybe even less. But you really got to, I think, have the conversation here with bye weeks coming up. Are you still a contender? Like, are you still very much in the contending mix? And if so, I think there's definitely some pivots to some, more aged veterans that aren't as sexy, but can definitely make sense. So we'll go over some of those. But right now, just want to kind of go over, went over the rankings as well. There's been some sharp movement, man. Been a lot of movement in Dynasty rankings, even though we're playing the long game. Trying to win right now has definitely moved some assets, and, there's some cheap ones to be had, too. Joe Flacco just went off last night. Pretty crazy game to see him have the connection he did with Noah Fant, our boy in particular. So, definitely a big game for Joe Flacco. Got him in your idiot league mates from Tony on low-key a steal. So, hopefully he'll continue to keep that up. He looks better than Jake Browning, at least. Bijan, at the moment, definitely in his own tier at running back 1. Got the Gibbs jersey on, but got to put him definitely in the next tier at the moment. Bijan just looks ridiculous, man. He's in a different other world. So, kind of went over some of those. You can go check them out at bdge.co. The Dynasty rankings are up and live over there. But you guys let me know how's everybody doing, how are your teams doing, and what are some pivots we're looking at, some trade questions, Dynasty questions. You guys know the deal, man. Waiting on anyone to come holler at your boy in the chat at the moment. No one. So, trying to think of some other. Oh, definitely the Rico Dowdle. The Rico Dowdle train is hot and heavy. Chuba's going to be back this week, so we'll see what the splits look like. At the moment, I don't know how you could take anything away from Rico Dowdle the way he's been playing. I think they're going to talk about having, probably like a split backfield. But I got to imagine you ride the hot hand, and if Rico continues to play this way, despite the contract, I think he's got to get 60, 70% of the touches, if not more. So we will see. We will see how that works, how that backfield ends up shaking out. But what's going on with everybody else, man? How's everybody doing today on this fine Friday? You know what it is. A couple sharp movers down, too. Caleb Johnson definitely down big time at the moment. It's kind of tough to see. Dude basically getting, just no work. So, real tough to see that one. Trying to think of who else was a pretty sharp mover. Definitely some tight ends that are coming up. The ranking's pretty high here. What's up, Sun God? We got a contending team question. 12 team. Half point. It's a half PPR, super flex, tight end premium. So you're starting a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers. Okay, so that's 6, 7 for the tight end, 8 for the flex, 9 for the super flex. So we got to start 9, shallow league, or shallow starting lineup, I should say. You said 12 team. Planning to trade Kyler and a 2026 early second for Dak for the CD stack. And either Goddard or a 27 second. I have Hawk, Juwan, and Freiermuth. Yeah, Goddard, I get the temptation to want to ask for Goddard back. I think at the moment, with the tight end room that you have, I probably what is the tight end premium? I know you say tight end premium here. Some God, if you could let me know, though, what the tight end premium actually is, that'd be dope. Just so, it probably won't change the question for me, frankly, with this group of guys. But, how high up is it? If it's a full point, 1.5, additional for the catch, The real thing though is that Goddard, to me, when you look at it, he's been great, but it's also been a lot of touchdown dependency, so to speak. So like I don't know outside of the touchdown upside what he really is different from these guys. So I probably in this scenario would rather have the second back. Tight ends get a full point per reception. Okay. So it's a half point PPR win, and the tight end gets 1.5. Okay, per catch. Yeah. Oh, so it's just a full. It's a half point tight end premium. Okay. Yeah, I play in a league like this where it's half point tight end premium and a full point per catch for the tight end. So honestly, though, that's really not that significant. And the reason I ask that is like basically none of these guys, for just being 1 point per catch, none of these guys are like super target, hogs where you could argue, okay, in a heavy tight end premium, you would rather have them. I think I would stay away from the Goddard part of this personally. I don't mind a Kyler for Dak pivot. Honestly, it's really not, considering the injury, it's really not that crazy at all. So, the early second cost down to a 27 second doesn't feel the greatest, but I think it's more than a fair move. If you're a contending team, you don't want to keep holding on to Kyler. I think before this injury, frankly, a lot of dynasty managers were already pretty tired of him. So I have zero problem doing this if you're getting back a 27 second. So that'd be the play that I go for. What's good, Phantom? That's a great question. I mean, well, it's tough. It's tough because when you're looking at it, it's in Cleveland, right? The brutal weather. I feel like Waddle's a guy they're probably going to try to get the ball to quickly, though. It's definitely it would take his ranking down significantly for me, but not like out of consideration. So I got to imagine they're going to try to get some quick screenplays to him, try to get the ball in his hands quickly. Tua's, more of an accuracy known guy anyway, so they're probably going to try to just really bring passes up to the line of scrimmage more so. But I got to imagine, honestly, that this game kind of just is a gross overall performance for both teams that could get low scoring. So if you had similar options, I would definitely sit him down this week. If you're going down multiple tiers, I still would consider starting him. I think is the best way that I could put it for this week's matchups. Yeah, no problem, Son God. Appreciate you being here, man. I got Pickens in the 10-man full PPR, but I want to upgrade at receiver. 4-2 in the league and very competitive right now, but worried of the fall off with CD coming back. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would honestly, I feel like that's a savvy. It's the right thought process. Let me get to this question real quick, and I'll pull up your league here, Phantom, and we can go over it with you. My issue is I have Judkins, Fannin on the same team. Feels awful having all three, and I do have Mason and Taylor available too. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is though, like Njoku's out, right? Got ruled out. It feels tough to. I get it though. It's tough. It's just tough to think that when Njoku misses, that we would have to sit Fannin. I don't hate starting Mason Taylor over Fannin though. Honestly, I think you definitely with the weather want to roll with Judkins. I mean, they already listen. Being from Cleveland, the local heads here are already just crazy upset about, like, all week. All you're hearing about is the fact that Judkins didn't get more touches. So I think going into this week, they were already probably going to find a way to manufacture him a lot more touches. And now you look at this, heavy wind, you got to put Judkins in there. So, if you wanted to sit down, let's say Fannin for Mason Taylor and play Waddle and Judkins, that's really not that bad. Like, I don't necessarily hate playing all three. I don't love it, but I don't necessarily hate it. Yeah, I mean it is. But I think, like, if it actually becomes a big problem where the wind is the issue and they're not really throwing the ball, you got to imagine there could be some big run plays that end up popping too. So I don't mind at all. Like, Judkins is definitely a start for me this week. Yeah. Okay, DQ Sharks on sleeper. But Anthony, if you got any other questions, everybody else, keep asking them, man. But we're gonna go to the lab. we're going to check out DQ Sharks. We're going to go. If you guys have other Dynasty teams you want me to look at, or redraft teams for that matter, I got you over here. So DQ Sharks. Let's take a peek at what you got brewing here. Which league is it? You said it's a 10-man, but you're in 9, I know. So let's see. I mean, honestly, Travis Hunter is like starting. Travis Hunter is like starting a guy that's in the bad weather game already. You know, he's been rough. Dynasty, okay. Let's see. Dynasty is the league. Well, is it Promotion Dynasty? I feel like this is a 10 team. No, this is a 16 team. Am I not looking at the right ones? Phantom, talk to me. Promotion Dynasty is the big one here. Oh, here it is. Got it. Never mind. El Cream Dynasty at the end. Got it. Cream team. All right. So DQ Sharks. All right. So let's see what we got here. Michael Penix, Bijan, Achan. I mean, love the start. Waddle, BTJ, Pickens, Sam Laporta, Addison, Juwan Jennings, CJ Stroud, Tua Hampton on the bench. Not much else as running backs go. Yeah, I mean, the bench is definitely thin, but honestly, it's, you want to juice the starting roster in a league like this anyway. 27, 20. Okay, so you got all your first. You sent, besides your 26 first. Okay. So you're trying to shop Pickens right now at the moment. Well, the thing about that is, right, so Pickens is going to appeal probably to a contender. So you got to think about that too. What contenders are either weak at receiver, or I don't know if you know of anyone that's like a Cowboys fan or anybody that's, might be higher on Pickens. Like at the moment, I feel like his cost definitely in Dynasty is inflated, right? And probably rightfully so. But I think it's also your point here. I mean, listen, there's no doubt there's worry about when CD comes back. I mean, CD, they don't run the same routes. They're going to, use CD a lot in the slot. And I'm not saying Pickens can't still get his, but I think it's going to be a lot more boom or bust. Right now it's been, primarily a lot more boom because the targets are funneling his way. So I think it's definitely, if you're able to get out as like a top 20 receiver, probably. Audio just cut out. Oh, I got a buffer, might be. Okay. So my is my mic good? Can y'all hear me? All right, sweet. If you can't though, let me know. All right, so let's see here. I think this team, you're probably not going to be able to get anything back. You said you're trying to tier up, right? If I remember right. Want to upgrade at receiver. So, I mean, well, the thing about this is, right, if you're trying to upgrade at receiver from Pickens, you're probably talking about, him being valued roughly in the 20 range to you're trying to go to a legitimate elite asset. And I'd imagine everybody wants to kind of consolidate in a 10-team league. So, I mean, maybe a guy like Nico would be a target that you could try to go to. You already have BTJ. I think Drake London would be a good target. I don't know if that's reasonable or not. And I don't know what it's going to actually cost to try to attach, like what you're going to have to actually attach to go get a true upgrade here. I imagine people aren't coming off Amon-Ra, but I'd be willing to try that to a contender. What about a guy like Rashi right now, coming off of this suspension? What's up, James? How you doing, man? We are doing great. Fridays are for the big dogs. Rashi would be a great pivot, I think. I'm kind of curious. It's not that far off. Like, I would send Pickens in a second for Rashi in a heartbeat. I don't know if that would get it done. Because the other thing about your team, when I look at it, like on the bench, right, you got Vidal, great. But when Hampton comes back, it's going to be his. And a lot of the players on the bench, like I just don't know if they really move the needle in a trade in a 10-team league. Who's your tight end? Laporta, okay. Like I would definitely be willing to put, Mason Taylor excuse me, into a trade if that would get something done too. So I think trying to see here real quick, just a couple other options potentially. Yeah, I think like Mason Taylor, like if you could send Pickens and Mason Taylor or Pickens in a second for Nico easily, I probably for Nico would be willing to do. I don't know if I would send both, but I might be willing to, honestly. I think Rashee Rice would be a great one. Drake London, same thing. I'd probably send that offer, even Mason Taylor and a second. I just don't know if a guy like with Brock Bowers is going to care about Mason Taylor at all. But for Drake London, and then for you might as well try it for Amon-Ra too. And this guy's got Aranda Gatson in his tight end spot. Maybe Mason Taylor, appeals to him more. But I don't know if it's going to get you to Amon-Ra. But I don't know that I'm going from Pickens. I'm adding 2 Pickens to get to Ladd. He still kind of worries me at the moment. So I think, and Rashee Rice would be another target I think I'm willing to go to. Would definitely go to Rome. If that gets it done, I doubt it does, but especially for these teams that are 1-5, not necessarily in the contending mix. But that'd probably be the places I start. Rashee Rice. Who was the other ones here? Rashee Rice, Nico Collins, and Drake London. Those would be the ones I start off with and see kind of what you get back. Is there any interest or not? I kind of got to imagine most people going up to that elite echelon receiver that you're trying to go to, they're going to ask for the moon, but you got to start somewhere and see if it's palatable from there. All right, Anthony says, Woody Marks, Jacoby Myers, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jawan Jennings. Full PPR, need to pick 2 this weekend. Have Marv and Marks in right now. Agree. Yeah, I do. Marv, as far as I see, though, is still not cleared, right? So, because he had the concussion. He's been limited all week in practice from what I've seen. I have him in your Idiot League Mate, so let me just go take a quick peek here. Oh, he did get cleared today. Okay, wow, 5 minutes ago. Set to play on Sunday. All right, so yeah, I'm playing Marv. If he's good to go, I have him in my lineup. There's no way I'm taking him out for the group of guys you have here. Jacoby Myers has been making me fucking nervous as shit. Yeah, he cleared. I see that. Nah, I'm definitely not playing Jacoby Myers over Marv. Jawan Jennings, I don't think I could play him either. I think I'm playing Marv and Marks. I do. Marv, 100% I'm playing. Marks, if you wanted to pivot from Marks to Jawan Jennings or Jacoby Myers, like you could convince me in full PPR. I just, if it was my team, I would definitely be playing Marv and Marks. Yeah. What's good though, James? How you doing, man? Phantom, let me know if you have any questions or follow-ups you want me to take a look at here on your squad. But we got that in there. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the script could be good for Woody. I don't know. He had such a good game and then came back to reality. But I also feel like I still feel like there's better days ahead for Woody Marks. So I'm with you. I'm playing Woody Marks here, even in full PPR. Phantom went quiet. Well, he claimed that I went quiet. So hopefully you guys can all hear me, right? It was just a buffer that somebody said. And Sun God, I see you up there. But if you guys got any other questions, let me know. Dynasty, redraft, all of it. Here's a great question. Thoughts on Fields as a Dynasty QB, or is his time very capped? I mean, you go back to in the offseason, I did a video with Dynasty startup targets, and I had Fields on that list, and it was because he was like down in the 7th round, 8th round range. So I liked it from that standpoint. And the thing about it is, for me with Fields, there was an opportunity to get 2 years, but realistically, he's kind of a year-to-year quarterback. I think here's the truth. That hasn't really changed, right? He's still a year-to-year quarterback, but like, let's call it what it is. Week 1 looked great, but since then, I mean, dude, it's been downhill in a hurry as far as his actual quarterback play goes. So his time is capped for sure. But I mean, it's one of those situations. Like, what do you plan to do? Frankly, if I have Fields at this point, especially since his value probably is becoming a lot more rocky, and people really aren't willing to invest in him, I kind of just am gonna take what I can probably get out of his production, while that is what it is. Like, because from the rushing standpoint, he still offers a significant amount of upside, even if he sucks, frankly, at quarterback. So I think at the moment, if you have him, he's probably a bad target to try to like trade away at the moment, because people are going to try to get him on the cheap, which realistically he doesn't have a lot of staying power, so to speak, at quarterback. But I'm probably just setting him in my lineup as a super flex option. And what I'd probably be doing though is more so seeing if I could find a way to get, and just whether it's picks or value elsewhere, to go make a move if necessary, if Fields ends up not being the starter at some point, whether that's next year or this year. So I think you just kind of got to plan for, if you have him to be in your lineup until otherwise told he's not going to be starting. And when that's the case, try to have some kind of contingency plan, even if that just is some draft capital lying around, or players that are underperforming, like on the thumbnail, that you can kind of pivot off of to get a quarterback back. That's personally where I think I'm at. Hope that helps, or if you have any follow-ups, just let me know. I haven't gotten a ton of offers for Rice recently. What do you think you would sell him for? Yeah, it's interesting. I put him on the block, as soon as he was available. Well, as soon as we knew he's going to play this week. I think the reality is, right, people are probably not saying somebody won't still send you some clown offers. That's just what people do in Dynasty. But I think at the moment people kind of know the buy low window is shut. So I think it's you have gotten a ton of offers. I've been the opposite. I've had a hard time moving him. What are the offers though? Let me just ask you this. Like, give me some of the offers. Are they basically because with Rice, I'm basically looking to, when I put him on the block, I haven't gotten many offers back. So it could just be me. People don't want to trade with me. But what are the offers actually coming in? Basically, if he's now getting close to a price where I could pivot off of him into a player that's legitimately a upper tier asset, I'm probably fine doing that if you prefer to. But I think at the moment we know the buy low window's shut, and if people are trying to give you a buy low offer, he's playing this week. I'm just probably going to hit reject on a lot of them personally. But I think it ultimately depends on kind of what the offer actually is. What would I sell him for? I mean, dude, I'm telling you right now, I have him right now at wide receiver 15 in Dynasty. Dude, I'm not, like, I'm probably not moving him, frankly, honestly. Like, in a lineup league, there's just, I think if he comes out and shows that he's going to be the wide receiver 1 again, which we're kind of expecting early on, he kind of solidifies himself into this tier. He's 25 years old. He probably goes ahead of like guys like Garrett Wilson and Marv even pretty early. So like I'm viewing him as a top 12 receiver. It's going to take a big haul, not necessarily, roughly a top 12 receiver. Like, I think that's very much in the range of outcomes for him here pretty early once he starts playing. So I'm not looking to sell light, frankly. Now, so are you looking to buy him, Sun God? And if so, what would you need to send? Because I'm also not opposed to buying him if it's, in the second range, frankly. Thanks, dude. Half PPR. How do you feel about these stashes? Which do you like the least? Yeah, no problem, by the way, Anthony. I always got you. Besh, Burden, Mooney. I think as far as stashes go, it would be Burden. I really liked, I thought Jack Besh was going to end up being, with his draft capital, kind of the power slot in Chip Kelly offense. And one, that offense has looked fucking putrid. And two, he's not getting that. And I don't think the path, at least at the moment, is very clear for him to even get that. And then secondly, I mean, frankly, Trey Tucker's presence is kind of just muddling the entire wide receiver room in Vegas. I'd say I like Mooney, but I don't view him as much of a stash, frankly. Like, I think Mooney's kind of, you have him. You're probably trying to find a way to get him in your lineup if you have a decent long starting roster. And I think Burden's the guy that, as the season goes on, it feels more like the stash play where, we'll see what happens with this injury to DJ Moore. And if his, he got 4 targets last week. If he can kind of increase his snaps and get on the field more, I think he definitely has the most upside as far as a stash play. So it would definitely be Burden for me. Oh, Phantom says, I had a phone call. My bad. Oh, you're good, man. Watching what you said now. No sweat at all, big dog. I'm here for you. 4 low seconds and Ricky Pearsall. Man, heck no. No, sir. I mean, unless this is like a best ball league, James, there's no way. No chance. That feels like a low ball offer, especially with Ricky P being hurt at the moment. Now, low seconds kind of makes me feel like it's late. I don't know if that means if it's 4 early seconds, it's kind of one of those things where, a bunch of change can't get me to a full dollar bill in a lineup league typically. So what if Jacoby gets moved? Okay. Yeah, now that would be a good scenario. If Jacoby Myers got moved, that would definitely be something that could happen for Besh that's positive. The one thing to think about there, though, and the reason this is why I kind of am a little more skeptical of him in general, is even if things start to break his way, like let's say this trade was to happen, just for the hypothetical. Like, what has Jacoby Myers even done, right? Like, that's where, for me, it's problematic is Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers hasn't even been out there yet. I mean, it's just there's a lot of scenarios for me that even if Besh gets on the field more, like, we're not really sure that his upside exists in this offense. It definitely could. I like the prospect, honestly, a lot more than some people did. But I think truthfully, Burden would possess more upside, and I'd prefer to stash him over Besh. Jack Betch. All right, just tried to get Rashi for Pickens in a first. Wow. I mean, listen, if Pickens in a first can't get you Rashi, then, I mean, only will do it if hands. Yeah, nah. I'm chilling. I'm chilling, bro. You can keep Rashi. Like, I would like to go from Pickens to Rashi. This, I think, is one of those things, too, to keep in mind. So let's go to – I'm just going to go real quick to keep trade cut. And the reason I try to do my Dynasty rankings about once a week. And the reason I don't try to do it a whole lot more than that, like obviously, there's stuff to clean up as far as injuries on a weekly basis. So you got to do it at least once a week. And, some crazy performances we didn't see coming, stuff like that. But when you get too, reactionary, you're moving it all the time. A lot of times I feel like the true value gains or losses, they're not actually real in the marketplace, right? Meaning, listen, I think Pickens right now has been great for teams that have him in the lineup. But I think by and large, like for example, the reason I wanted to go here, I just want to see, let me click off and see where he's at as far as receivers go. So at the receiver position right now, like Keep Your Cut will tell you, hey, he's wide receiver 18, right? So you would think when you look at that, okay, boom, this is a great time to move off of Pickens. Now, that's a good process and thought, but at the end of the day, do a lot of people in a lot of leagues, or even in some leagues, kind of roughly view him as a, three receiver spots away from Rashee Rice? I mean, I think the answer with something like this clearly is no. If Pickens in a first can't get you Rice, this is like an artificial bump in value. So, give me 1 second. That was actually my dude Mike, who's we're doing a stream right after this, record for the trade show. So I think that's kind of what I'm saying, though, is that Pickens, while his value is on the rise, I just don't know in the market if it's really as like juiced up as like Keep Trade Cut will say. So I have him at 21. Like, I've tried to move him up some, but I think he's probably a lot closer, realistically, though, to a guy like, Jordan Addison and Smitty, frankly, right, than he is to guys like Rice and on the tier up game. So it's definitely worth shooting your shot for. I just think there's probably a chance where people aren't necessarily giving Pickens because of CD coming back. A huge bump in value when you go to try to trade them at the elite table. I think. Let's see. Just try. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not adding. There's no chance I would add Hampton here. Like Pickens. I'm not even sure. I'm just trying to think about it straight up from a Superflex scenario. I mean, to me, and I thought so. I have Hampton a few spots ahead of Rashee Rice, but so I mean, if he wants to give you Rashee plus maybe, but I'd probably prefer straight up in a 10-team league to have Hampton than I would Rashee. So that's fair. I agree. I love Bird and DJ Moore, just in the way. Haha. Yeah, dude was in the hospital overnight. Now he's playing. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing is. We thought it was going to be this week. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to be, but it's not going to be the way we thought. I think that we could get Luther Burden playing more snaps week in and week out here soon, trying to up his snap share. If you look at DJ Moore, so far the way they're using him in the offense, at least, Ben Johnson, it's very much the same, like 5-6 targets every week. They're not really utilizing him super creatively. So it's one of these things where you could be looking at them kind of trying to go to the younger player and looking to maybe move on from a guy like DJ Moore sooner than we think. But, yeah, I mean, he's not injured and he's not missing the week like we thought he might. So, let's see. Was there another question? Oh, no, we're good. We got through it. Okay. Yeah, I think James, though, I'm definitely holding Rashee for anything like this. Like, for example, if you told me, James, that if someone was going to send me Pickens in a first, see, this is where it's so interesting league to league, right? Honestly, if I have Rashee Rice and someone sends me Pickens in a first, that's worth considering. There's a chance I would do that, honestly, in certain leagues. If I needed depth or if I was, my bench didn't look the greatest or you wanted to make this pivot, it's not crazy. That's a proper offer, frankly. Might even be a little bit of an overpay. This, to me, though, is just like these are just kind of not really considerations. I'm not going from Rashee Rice down to Pickens. You're probably dropping 5 to 10 in dynasty ranks. Pearsall feels a lot more than that. And then the seconds versus the true first, to me, don't get me wrong, a bunch of seconds are valuable, but I just don't want to get nickeled and dimed to my Rashee Rice, especially now that he's back. He waited this whole time. All right, get a few more questions in here, and if you guys have them, let me know what it is. Anthony says 6-point passing touchdown. Are you starting Knicks or Dimes this weekend? Ooh, that's a good question. Let me actually pull up the slate here because I'm trying to think. Who are the Colts playing this week? Don't know why I can't think of that off the top of my head right now. Chargers, that's right. I was thinking I didn't love his matchup, and they're on the road, West Coast. Dude, I don't know. This is tough. Coming off the game they just did and then playing the Giants, I feel like it's got to be better for Bo Nix. But damn, man, that game last week has me kind of spooked, speaking of like Halloween and shit. That game was spooky as hell for Bo Nix personally. The Chargers have been kind of banged up too. I probably would roll Nix, but I'm not like particularly bullish on it. I think I probably have Knicks, a few spots ahead of Dimes this week. But honestly, I'll say this: if Bo Nix doesn't, especially versus this Giants defense, bounce back in a pretty decent way, I'm gonna really start. I don't want to say hit the panic button, but I'm gonna start really lowering him in my weekly rankings. Frankly, yeah. I mean, it's a very good question. I feel like amongst consensus, like if you polled a whole bunch of people, they'd probably be pretty close this week. Again, I'm probably going to roll with Knicks because of the matchup. Being back at home, versus playing overseas. Oh, man. But, dude, I don't know. He just hasn't been really all that impressive, frankly, this year, if I'm being honest. And he was coming off that game versus Indy, actually. What was that, 2 weeks ago, where he had, I think, 3 touchdowns. You're thinking, all right, maybe we're getting, back to form. But overall, it's been kind of just meh production. So versus the Giants defense, I think I'm playing him, hoping that he gets right. But if not, man, I'm probably pretty worried about him moving forward, honestly. At home versus the Giants feels about as good as it gets, for being honest. Yeah, and I mean, I don't have a problem playing Daniel Jones. I'm playing him a handful of spots, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too caught up in my prior takes. I'm kind of still waiting for Daniel Jones to show a little bit of regression here. Not saying that he's gonna like fall back to complete trash, but that he's gonna just come back to life or back to earth a little bit, personally. So I think this week I'd probably roll Knicks, but you could totally convince me that Daniel Jones is a better play this week. Anybody else? And does anybody have like players like in Dynasty, some of these underperforming rookies before we get out of here you wanted to talk about? Or well, I just kind of put on the thumbnail that I think if I have, let's say, a contender, right? And I do have a Harvey, and I do have I think Caleb Johnson at this point, probably value-wise, like I'd probably still try to move him, but I feel like he probably doesn't move the needle in the trade. But at the moment where I'm looking at, like, Travis Hunter's a little bit tougher because he's valued at, like, outside the top 50 a lot of times, and he's had a pretty rough start. But R.J. Harvey, I think we're just realistically waiting for, Dobbins to get out of the way. I don't know when that comes. But his value seeming to, stay pretty high. So all that to say, for example, if I'm able to pivot from him on a contender, let's say to a guy like, let me give you some guys in the range. Like, I think, honestly, this wouldn't be a bad time to pivot from him to a Javonte Williams, as gross as you may think that is, right? Or to, even, Chase Brown, if that's still available, just because Flacco hopefully has this offense playing better. I think I'd be willing to pivot away from R.J. Harvey if I needed to perform now on a contender. And I think sometimes we get kind of really stuck on players that we're really excited for in Dynasty that we've drafted. And I'm not telling you there's not a bounce back opportunity for Harvey. Definitely is. But at a certain point during the year, I think you got to try to move off of those assets while they still have some value. Because, one, you're trying to get the points if you're a contender. But, two, there is an opportunity that R.J. Harvey's value does bleed from here even more if he doesn't get on the field. You got to remember, this is a guy that wasn't thought to go in round 2, right, for example. And he's 24. Now, I don't really care that much about running back age, but a 24-year-old running back that's having a hard time getting on the field is a little bit more scary than, for example, someone that's 21. So, you're the man. Appreciate that, dude. Love how to break it all down. Just recapping, if this weather holds up, you were still on the side of playing Fannin and Waddle and sitting Mason Taylor. I think with Fannin, he's another player that I think both these guys in first of all, Dylan Gabriel, right, without Njoku, is already probably going to be a guy that checks it down more. So the weather, while it will hurt overall the offense, I mean, this Browns offense isn't high potent anyway. So both these guys, I think, could just get a lot more, PPR upside with checkdowns. But I think both the offenses are going to be capped. If you wanted to go to Taylor for Fannin, I don't hate it at all. But unless you have a clearly better option than Waddle, sometimes you got to just, plug your nose and drink it, so to speak, right? You just got to put him out there. If you have a better option, I would definitely play him ahead of Waddle. But I just don't know if a lot of people have a clearly better option on their bench. Because the high winds are not ideal, but I have a feeling they're going to just try to find a way to check the ball down quicker and get the ball in their playmakers' hands. It might just be grosser overall as far as total points scored. So maybe touchdown upside is more capped than anything. Holds up, meaning as bad as they say. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's up at Cleveland, right? The mistake on the lake, the lake effect. So sometimes these high winds are very they can be real. They also could come in waves where it's like it can get super windy and then it can kind of die down for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I'm not telling you it's going to be good weather. I'm just saying I'm not. I would pivot to a similar option if I had them, but I'm not like moving them down ranks drastically. I'm just going to move them down probably slightly down my rankings. What's an appropriate offer for Caleb Johnson in Dynasty? Kind of want to buy low. I mean, I honestly, I personally wouldn't. I think an appropriate offer is probably like a late second, but I'm probably, honestly, for me, I'm not even sure that I want to send that. Like, I get that you want to buy low, but man, this doesn't feel the greatest with his completely not being able to get on the field. And Arthur Smith doesn't make me feel confident that that's coming soon. I think that's probably an appropriate offer though, like a late second. I mean, if you could get it for a couple thirds, like I wouldn't even hate trying to buy for a couple thirds. I just feel like people probably aren't that panicked yet, even though maybe they should be. Would have considered Downs, but he's out now. I think Downs would have been a very good pivot. That would have made a lot of sense. But now that he's out, like I don't know. I don't want to go too much further down the rankings if that makes sense, just because of the weather. All right, go one or two more here, and then I do gotta hop off. All right. So do you think Waddle will be the wide receiver one in Miami from now on? No. I mean, here's the thing, right? A dislocated knee is seriously significant in the fact that you're looking at like multiple ligaments and completely reconstructive surgery. So I'm not looking and viewing Tyreek Hill coming back as a threat to Jalen Waddle. I think he is the wide receiver one in Miami from now on. I think what's going to be interesting though is how, if they really blow this team up and what that looks like. So I do think it is going to be Jalen Waddle though. They definitely could draft another receiver, but I'm not worried about someone coming in and taking that wide receiver one spot from Waddle really in the near future at all. So I do think Waddle will be the wide receiver one in Miami here moving forward shortly. So send out a second for Caleb and a fourth. I think that's an appropriate offer. I mean, listen, are you a dickhead? Maybe a little bit, but it's all right, buddy. I'm just kidding. Appreciate you guys being here. As always, if you do want to join the BDGE, the Big Dogs tier, make sure you go to bdge.co for $9.99 a month. You get a ton of access to this great group. You can come join these live streams with myself, with Nick on Saturdays or Sundays. He does start sits. And we have all kinds of other stuff you can get in the Discord. Get my Dynasty ranks, get Nick's redraft rankings, all kinds of good stuff. So make sure you check out bdge.co if you're interested in that and future live streams. Otherwise, I will see you back here, same time, same place, next week for the BDGE Dynasty channel. I'm out of here. Peace.